Welcome. I think you're going to enjoy this presentation because it is going to be an overview of what it's like to be in the field. Life in the field, and I'm going to use it as an example of that, the site where I've worked since 1972 in Hadar, Ethiopia. So just assume that you've just arrived in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, gotten over your jet lag, and after a couple of days arranging all the local issues, you begin packing up the truck. And you can see that the truck is packed with everything we need for the field. As I said earlier, if you forget something, you're out of luck. There's no local place to shop. The truck leaves usually early in the morning. You see one of our vehicles on the left, the white Toyota, and the large lorry or truck in the foreground passing through Addis Ababa, entering the countryside, entering the Afar Triangle, which is a geologically fascinating place, as you will learn. Stopping along the road, picking up grass mats to take with us, staying overnight in some not so terribly inviting places, and descending into Africa's Great Rift Valley with the classic acacia trees. When I first started going here, all we had was a dirt road. We didn't have any maps. Now there is a paved road that takes us into the field. And surprisingly, along the way, in a little unknown village, you see that someone has drawn a picture of my Discovery Lucy. All the kids heard I was there and came out to say hello. Interesting that Lucy is a name that is used widely in Ethiopia. Here's a bakery, for example. People name their children Lucy. Here's a Lucy typing school. We drink African red bush tea made by Tazo, and it says, some say all human beings descended from a single African primate named Lucy. If it's true, she probably enjoyed taking a break from the kids. So her name has become widely known and widely used. Here's a local tribesman who is transporting his camels by truck on the road, passing incredibly beautiful lakes adjacent to recent volcanics. That's a volcano in the background that has collapsed. Volcanic ash and lava came out of there very recently. And of course, it's obligatory to stop along the way to have a cup of coffee. Ethiopia is the source of coffee. It was first found in the province of Kaffa. And they start, when you go into a little coffee shop, they start with green beans, and they roast them right in front of you, grind them up, put them in a teapot like or coffee pot like this, make that beautiful coffee, and it's probably, I think, the best coffee I've ever tasted in the world. We enter, ultimately, the village closest to where we begin our work, a rather bleak and desolate place, and hook up with local friends who we've known from before. The kids always interested in what we're doing and where we're going, and come out to bid us a goodbye as we select some of their fathers to work with us, people who have worked with us year in and year out. Some of the local families we become very close to and provided food and sustenance for them. Here's a family I'm particularly close to and have known them for many, many years, watching the children grow up. Some of our former students, we stopped along the way to have lunch, and this is the classic Ethiopian meal, injera and wat. It's wat is the stew that's put out on top of the sourdough bread and relished all over Ethiopia. After about a day and a half's drive, we begin usually to arrive late in the afternoon at the field site of Hadar. Here you see our lorry that has made it down through this very difficult terrain, and we have all of our supplies unloaded as quickly as possible so that we can begin to set up camp, initially setting up the large tents where we eat and where we do our research and where we set up a kitchen. Everyone pitches in, whether you're a scientist, student, local, or whatever. We all pitch in together to create what we will call ultimately Camp Hadar, which is the name of the place where we're camping. Sometimes we run across deadly vipers like this. This is a carpet viper that you certainly probably would die if you had been bitten by this. And once we move in, the snakes move away and want to be left alone. Unfortunately, no one's ever been bitten by a snake in all the years I've worked there. It's very hot, very remote, always 105, 106 degrees, and we put reflective sheets on the tops of our tents to maybe bring down the temperature a little bit. Here's a late afternoon shot of the camp with some of the sleeping tents, the kitchen tent off to the right, and conveniently adjacently associated with those geological layers that contain the important fossils just a few minutes walk away. We literally have to look after everything. We have a full-time mechanic. He has set up his tent here. It's a little work tent with his tools and so on, so that he can repair any problems that happen to our vehicles. There's no garage nearby to take them to. We have to repair everything ourselves and keep these vehicles in good running shape. One of the critical things for an expedition like this that number upwards of 25, 35 people is, of course, to have enough water, because it is so dry and so hot in this area that one drinks water almost continuously. Fortunately, there's a river, as you see, the Awash River, that runs by the camp, and the camp is fully in motion here. It's fully set up, and those little in the lower left-hand corner, you see the showers. And here's an aerial photo of the area in which we've set up in. Very difficult for you to see, but there's a little dot in the middle of this, which is where our camp is. Now, looking a little more closely at the camp, we're perched just above a cliff, above the river that's coursing by, the Awash River, and those are barrels that we have to fill with water from the river. So we set up a gasoline or petrol-driven pump. The water is sucked in through the hose, and it is transferred up to these large barrels and stored in the barrels. And on the left, my friend Jerry is just dumping into that water something called alum, which helps clear all of the silt out so that the water becomes very, very clear. Here's our showers. We have used water from the river that has been cleared and cleaned for our showers. And sometimes when we're out on survey and we run out of water, we have to do what the local people do, and that is to dig down into the middle of one of these dry washes or arroyos and get down to the water level and drink that water, as you see in Afar, who's doing that to water his goats. Getting settled into camp is always wonderful. Rejoining friends that you may not have seen in a year or so, catching up on all the important events. I'm sitting here with some of our Afar colleagues learning what's been happening in that region. Once we have our tents established like this, that's where we live for sometimes 2.5, 3 months of the year, in that little small fingerprint on that landscape. And here you see me sitting out in front of my tent making notes. The day begins before sunrise, especially for the kitchen crew, because they have to get up about 4:30 to begin baking bread, begin preparing breakfast. We're up about 5:45, 6 o'clock. Here you see some members of the expedition having their morning coffee, looking across the river at the sunrise. A little difficult to see here, but those are baboons on the other side of the river. That's what the telescope was for. The kitchen crew, we have 5 or 6 people in the kitchen. We have a head chef and his primary assistant, and a number of people to help him serve the food, help him keep the dishes clean, and help feed all the members of the expedition. Here's breakfast arriving. It may be a pancake, it could be a fried egg, it could be oatmeal and toast. It's usually not very elaborate, but it's enough to get us going and out onto the landscape to look for fossils, leaving camp by about 7 o'clock in the morning. And here you see people enjoying a meal in the dining tent and coming together 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We keep track of everything that everybody's doing, discoveries that are being made, problems that are arising, and you live as a very tight-knit group, which is quite remarkable. The Afar people, who are native to this area, are Muslim and have their own set of dishes, their own dining area, and we provide for them the food that is most appropriate for them. It is a desolate area. There are difficulties that often arise in this area, so we have to have guards. And here you see a number of our Afar friends, some of whom I've known for 25, 30 years, who live with us, who stay awake at night in case of marauding lions or whatever, and make sure that we are safe and sound. Sometimes we leave camp early in the morning, about 7 o'clock. We usually get back for lunch, but sometimes we don't. So we take with us a little picnic lunch, as you see just here, as we're moving out onto the landscape in a more remote part of the site.